Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Allie, and in 2024 I lost 75 pounds with carnivore, and I ended up falling off of it, and for 6 months ended up eating whatever I wanted, gained half of it back, and in February of this year I recommitted to trying carnivore again, a real try this time, and I have successfully lost almost 20 pounds on the carnivore diet since February 1st, and I am just sharing my journey here, and I have loved every minute of it. I've loved all of the great feedback and tips and encouragement that I've gotten from so many of you who are doing this with me. And today's video, we're gonna be talking about what I think are the hardest parts of carnivore. I kind of avoided this topic for a while because on one of my first videos, I got a lot of negative feedback about things that I struggled with. A lot of people, I think in an effort to be helpful, really were kind of angry with me for having maybe differing opinions about the diet than others. But I have just made a commitment to be extremely real about this whole process, and I'm the kind of person who like really wants someone to tell it to me how it is and be really straightforward with me. And I hope that these things that I'm about to talk about don't discourage you from starting. I find that if I know in advance the difficulties, it actually helps me prepare better. My heart behind telling you the things that I still have a hard time with isn't to make you like decide not to do carnivore. It's really to help set you up for success, because if you know that these things are coming, you can know how to prepare for them. And it's not just going to be some like doomsday video. I am going to tell you what I do to overcome these challenges and overcome maybe some of the hardships that they can bring. So we're going to jump right into it. The 5 reasons I think carnivore is still hard as someone who is on day 50. Before we start, I also want to make a disclaimer that while all of these things are difficult, they are getting better every day and easier every day. And I also want to say that even if they never got easier, the carnivore diet is still worth it. It is still producing incredible results in my health, in my mental health, and in my weight loss. And so I wouldn't trade it for any of these. If these stayed hard the whole time, I wouldn't care. It would not be enough to keep me from pursuing carnivore and pursuing this lifestyle as I get healthier. So let's dive right into it. Starting off strong at number 1 is not eating fruit. This is still one of the hardest things for me, even though my taste buds are changing, and I know that there's been a lot of discourse about if fruit is actually healthy for you, the sugars in fruit, is fruit really the way God intended, is it chemically altered? I understand all of those concerns, I get it. I still want a smoothie some days, okay? And that's okay. I feel like a lot of people on carnivore, you know, they have concerns for you if you're still having cravings, because if you're having cravings, it's probably related to a lack of fat intake or electrolytes, or you're missing something, which I completely agree with. But some days I just miss things, and I don't know that that will go away. And it's okay if it doesn't, because like I said, if none of these go away, I'm still trekking on. But I miss fruit. Fruit is probably my favorite food group. Like I've said in past videos, I have insulin resistance. So for those of you who are going to ask, why can't you have fruit? What's so bad about fruit? My body does not recognize if a sugar is coming from something healthy like fruit or something unhealthy like candy. It regardless does not metabolize them correctly, and it ends up adding to my fat storage. It does not help me lose weight. So while fruit might not do these things in other people's body, it does it in mine. And unfortunately, I love it so much, and it's something that I do miss, especially whenever it's like spring and summer and it's just like fruit seasons. None of the cravings that I'm going to talk about in this video ever pushes me to cheat, because I have not cheated since I started carnivore on February 1st. And for me, that's just something I have to do. I know that some people will put cheat days within their journey, and props to you. However, I can't do that. I promise you that I would probably end up taking it too far or cheating multiple days, and before you know it, I'll be back where I was. So I'm not going to be having cheat days in the process, but you know, the craving is still there, and it's not a craving that like is overcoming me. It's just a craving that I miss fruit. I miss smoothies. I'm a smoothie girl through and through, especially whenever we're at the pool or just outside a lot. So how am I helping myself? How am I overcoming this difficulty of missing fruit? Well, the number one thing that I've realized is a cold drink really does bring me like a different caliber of joy. Like it's way too intense. Like I just love a cold drink. And so I will make electrolytes, and they are flavored. I love the Ultima brand. I've shared this before, and they have a really delicious lemonade and a pink lemonade. But one of my friends on here actually ended up messaging me and saying that that could be adding to a weight stall because there are some natural flavorings in there, even though it's 0 carbs and everything like that. So just be aware. I am kind of like testing the waters to see if that is affecting me. But that's one of the biggest things that helps me kind of like quench that desire is I will just make a really cold lemonade electrolyte, and it kind of just gives me some of that like comfort in knowing that I'm doing what I can do. And it's not a smoothie, but it is good and it's refreshing. The second thing is feeling like I am missing out, and my dad and I addressed this in the video before this. If you did not see that, you should go watch it. That was a really fun video we made about things that contributed to our weight gain. And we shared that here in Louisiana, pretty much every event is centered around food. We're a very like food-centric culture, and I personally believe we have the best food in the United States personally. Everything that we do is centered around food. And in the spring, you know, I've done carnivore for 2 years now in the spring of 24, spring of 25. And spring is like the food season for Louisiana. I'm missing crawfish season. I'm missing the good seafood boils. I'm missing Mardi Gras. I'm missing king cake. Like there are so many things that I'm not getting. The spring is a very beautiful time for food if you're not on carnivore in Louisiana. Last season, I actually did have crawfish a couple of times, and I'm not against having it. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a seafood, it's a meat, but there is a lot of seasoning that goes into the boil. We don't boil ours with like potatoes or anything like that. Like it's not like there's starch in what we're cooking. It definitely has seasonings. And what I noticed last year when I ate it, I did get sick. And I think partly it's because it's just like going from nothing but salt and pepper to a billion seasonings, and they're all billion of them are delicious. So it's kind of just one of those things where I have to weigh the pros and cons of it. It's not true carnivore because it has the seasonings, obviously, but it is a meat. It is meat based. And so I might have it a couple times this season, and I'm not gonna feel burdened by that, but I am expecting that on the days I have that, I'll probably have a weight stall, or I will like notice some swelling or some like minimal side effects the next day like I did last time. And so one of the things I'm having to remind myself is that food is not the source of joy when it comes to having experiences. I will like go to events sometimes so excited about the food that's gonna be there, and like that is part of the event. And I know that that's really normal, but in the past I have like fully been motivated to go to something by the food that's gonna be there, like a baby shower or like a shower in general. I just love shower food. I have to tell myself like I can still really enjoy myself and go to places that have food I can't have and still have a great time. I think like something I have to tell myself is the missing out part would be if I didn't go at all. Learning how to go and, you know, limit myself or get something that I can have or eat before and still go and enjoy all of the socialization and being around friends and family. What am I doing to help myself overcome this? Good question. The first thing is if I'm gonna go to dinner with friends or we're gonna go on a date night, I'm gonna go to a place where I know for sure that I can eat carnivore. And the easiest thing to me to do is just to get a steak, because you know that a steak is obviously possibly going to come with like seasonings or a butter or something, but like there's just not many ways that you can turn a steak not carnivore. I'm going to go somewhere where I've talked to the kitchen or can talk to the kitchen and see what's going on with the food. Kind of just sticking to familiar restaurants if I can. Going back to the meat-based indulgences like crawfish, I might have that a couple times this season, but it will be way cut back from like what I would normally do during crawfish season, which would be like crawfish every week. Easily, if the budget allowed. This is just a simple way I can help myself. Being prepared, knowing where we're gonna go to eat, suggesting a restaurant when I can, and just being in good communication with the kitchen so that I'm not surprised by anything that ends up being in the food. The third way that carnivore is still a little bit difficult for me on some days is getting bored with cooking or eating the same types of things every day, or just a lack of variety. And this is one of the things that I hear a lot about in the comments, people struggling with, with, and I'm right there with you. And what I've had to remind myself is that variety doesn't necessarily equal like different types of food, like a carb, fruit, a protein. It can also just be different types of meat or dairy. And so I've really made an effort to, if I need to, have multiple types of meat on my plate, not just like a hamburger patty. I love to cook. I love trying new recipes, and I also like cooking for other people, my husband mainly. And one of the things that I think kind of is difficult and like an unexpected sadness about this a little bit is I'm not necessarily cooking for him and like experimenting in the kitchen the way that I used to, which is something that he obviously really enjoyed and reaped the benefits of. And I'll still make food for him, and he eats a good chunk of what I eat as well, but he's not fully on carnivore. And so this can be one of those things that I didn't expect to have a hard time with, but I do miss experimenting with different recipes and just like looking forward to like themed nights or cooking something different. I love carbs. What can I say? I'm just a normal person. I was always one of those people that needed variety in their food. Like my dad, since I can remember, he'd be like, yeah, give me a piece of salmon every day. I don't care. And that's very robotic of him. He is a robot, as I've said many times to his face. He can eat the same thing over and over again. My mom and I, we can't. We have to have variety. And so what do I do to overcome this? It starts with what you're buying in your grocery rotation. And so if you keep your staples all the time, that's great. It's being prepared. But if you're only buying your staples and never really branching out on new meats or seafoods, of course you're going to get bored. And it's really easy to kind of push yourself a little and see, ooh, what do scallops taste like? What does lump crab taste like on this steak? Like on carnivore, we get to eat delicious, decadent food. There's no reason that every now and then you can't whip up a sauce or try something new. You are literally like at a steakhouse every night in your home. I would take advantage of the fact that it's not like we're eating nasty food, and there's lots of different ways you can combine things or kind of switch it up. And then putting multiple meats on your plate. For instance, like for a good breakfast, I might have some scrambled eggs and some bacon and some rabbito sausage, you know, or some shrimp. Something that's gonna make it feel like I'm changing it up. But I would put a warning here. One of the reasons keto failed for me, that I failed on keto, was I was always trying to supplement and like make keto versions of what I couldn't have. Early on in carnivore, I was like constantly trying bread recipes or like cake recipes, ice cream recipes. And at the end of the day, I would notice that my weight would fluctuate a lot when I was doing that, because you are probably eating a lot more of everything than you realize when you're trying to make something taste good that is meant to just taste like meat or dairy. So I would just caution against that. Like, don't do it too frequently, because at the end of the day, listen, maybe if you're on carnivore deep enough, like deep in, you know, in here deep enough, carnivore bread might taste good. At the end of the day, I know that carnivore versions of anything aren't gonna taste as good as the real thing. So it's just like, why bother? I'm just gonna stick to what I know I can have and what I know is gonna be delicious, just because it is what it is. The fourth thing that's been hard as well, this one might be a little bit like more personal, would be emotional eating, or just how eating occurs when you're in the middle of like a seasonal change in life. I remember listening to a podcast one time, and they talked about how whatever you do as stress relief consistently, your body starts to crave for stress relief. So if every day I get home from work and I, you know, order takeout and I watch TV and sit on my couch, my body eventually will start to crave doing that and associate that with stress relief. And so for me, obviously a big part of it was comfort food. And if I had a bad day, it's like, oh, I deserve a treat, or oh, I really just want to order takeout, I don't want to cook. That was really like tied in intrinsically to my relationship with food. And in carnivore, there aren't many things that I would consider a comfort food. There are things I never get tired of, like eggs. I love eggs. I'll just never get tired of eggs. I definitely notice a difference in the reliance I have on food, which is really, really nice. I don't want to rely on food like that. But this weekend we had like a pretty big just like environment change in our own home. And I haven't shared this before online, but my husband and I were in the process of getting certified to foster, and we got got our first placement this past weekend, and it was a baby, and she's home now and she's in the other room and I can hear her like just talking to herself. This was like a really just crazy weekend, and I was on carnivore the whole time. I never cheated, and my best friend was like, are you gonna stay on carnivore while you have the baby? And I'm like, yes. I can't imagine not, because it's just so, I mean, all the things that come with having a baby, you know, the sleepless nights, the lack of energy, you're just exhausted all the time. At my weight and current physical health, I can't imagine doing that not on carnivore. Carnivore makes me feel like a superhuman level of energized and healthy, even no matter what weight I'm at. It has like been like medicine to me, honestly. During all this change over the weekend, I was like, man, I would honestly give anything to go back to my old eating habits, because it was just emotional. It's just a lot going on. It's a lot of like heartbreak for her parents, and you know, it's joy for us, but still like mixed emotions. Whenever I was like dealing with all that this weekend, oddly enough, I was really craving old things that I used to want, but I was really proud of myself for not cheating. And so if you're someone who's still kind of like working out your emotional tie to food, you're not alone. Obviously you can be doing everything right and still feel that way, and so I felt like I was doing everything right and still felt that way this weekend, but I've moved past it. And one of the things that I put as like, how am I helping myself with this, just kind of cut and dry, I'm just getting over it. Like, I don't know another nice way to say this. It's just like, you can be, you know, sad or miss something, but at the end of the day, you're okay. You're okay. You're gonna be okay. Number 5, the last thing that I think is the hardest on carnivore is when the scale doesn't change. This is something I shared in my 30-day results. I only lost 10 pounds in the first 30 days, and that's not nothing. I know that's not nothing, but I had shared that last year when I did carnivore, on average, I would lose between 20 and 23 pounds a month. And so this was half of that. I was kind of discouraged, and I am a person who weighs every day. I'm sure nutritionists would like flip a lid if they heard that, but it's true. I weigh every day, and I always make a joke that I need to look at my bank account every day because I want to know what's in there and know that I'm not spending anything. It's the same for the scale. If I'm not looking at the scale, the numbers are going up. If I'm not looking at the bank account, the numbers are going down. I'm one of those people that is very on top of their weight. However, I also know that what my progress is doing day to day doesn't always get reflected in the number on the scale. And no matter what the number on the scale is, the goal is also health, not just weight loss. I've done carnivore long enough to know that maybe 3 or 4 days of the week, the number will change and actually go down, but from day to day it could stay the same. It could go up for no apparent reason, but what I care about is like from Friday to Friday, was there weight loss? And most of the time, yes, there was. If you've been on carnivore for any period of time, you know that sometimes our weight stalls, or sometimes, you know, it's just not feeling like it's moving at all. And so the ways that I kind of overcome this, several things. Number 1, taking my measurements each week is a big indicator that I am still losing fat. My body composition is still changing. The second one, my favorite one, is trying on clothes that I haven't been able to fit into for a while. And this is fun because I'm going to be doing a video on this soon. Trying on clothes that fit me on carnivore the last time, and I'm starting to get back into them. I have about 15 pounds left to go until I'm back where I was the first time. Taking before and after pictures or before and after video is a big one, because I watched my first YouTube video back a few days ago and I was like, oh wow, like I feel like I can tell a difference in my face. And like, do you ever just go back and look at old pictures or videos of yourself and you're like, how are you breathing? Like, you just look like you're suffocating by your own self. Like, and then another one is an app that I really like that I'm gonna put here. It's called Me 360, and it actually scans your entire body and it shows you what the future you will look like and what the past you looked like, so you can like line up your scans next to each other and see how your body has changed. It doesn't matter if that scale is moving. I'm preaching to the choir right now. I need to hear this just as much as anybody. If the numbers aren't changing, it's not an indicator that you're not making progress. And so that's how I kind of like help myself get through that frustration that weight loss isn't actually happening, when it definitely is. These are things that I still find to be the hardest, and I hope that this video doesn't discourage you. I hope that it strengthens you to know what is potentially to come, and just to hear from a person who, despite all of these factors, are still doing it every day. You can still do it every day. These things don't have to hold you back. They're not holding me back, and I can sit in little self-pity for a hot second, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I'm feeling good and it's what's right for me for right now. I hope that this encourages you ultimately, and if you have not started the 30-day challenge with us. It is not too late. It is never too late. Start tomorrow, start today. And if you are starting, please let me know in the comments. I literally get messages every day where they're like, I'm starting the 30-day challenge today. And it makes me so happy because I know that their life's about to change for the better. Also, I was previously on a 2-time-a-week posting schedule, but with the baby here, I don't know that that's gonna be sustainable. So you'll be hearing from me at least once a week, hopefully twice a week. So anyway, hope you guys have a great week and I hope to see you on Monday.